keeping our work separately did not. I'll wait until the car passes. And like literally while we were talking, it kept having to be like, don't look out the window, don't look out the, because I'd be like, da 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 da. I feel like also I'm getting to the point of that like 4 o'clock brain where I'm like, what is my name? Who am I? What am I talking about? No, you're good. I got a story to tell.
Okay. All the way back.
My first glimpse into the environmental work or environmental justice, going all the way back to when I was a kid. My grandparents on my dad's side are cherry and apple farmers. So a lot of those values and ways of life were just like very formative to how I viewed the world. Every summer I would like get sent up to Traverse City where my grandparents had their farm, and while all my friends back were like enjoying summer break, I was like doing manual labor on a farm. As it's harder and harder to be a local farmer in America, a lot of that land up there is being bought for massive multi-million-dollar mansions or massive wineries to like help support the tourist industry. My grandpa, being who he is and being my first like environmental justice warrior, sold the development rights to his farm to a land trust up there, which basically means that that land trust is going to preserve the development rights of that land. So even after we're long gone, like that land will always be preserved as only for agricultural use. I thought it was like a pretty like badass move, and I don't think I would be like, you know, involved in the work I'm doing now. I'm not grown up with like a role model who quite literally showed me that there's value within the environment. The work that I was doing in Michigan, and kind of one of the most formative experiences that I had while in undergrad, was that I worked hand in hand with community members dealing with the Flint water crisis. It was so interesting to be involved with a community of people whose government had failed them, and at the end of the day, the thing that was keeping people moving forward was their neighbors and their families that lived in the area, their community. And from that experience, I kind of realized the true power that community has in shaping, you know, not only how we respond to catastrophes and crisis, but also in making your life a more vibrant place and being able to not only just survive, but thrive the day to day. I graduated in 2020 during COVID, so I didn't want to go to virtual law school. So I decided, you know, law is something I can always go back and practice later on. And I'm actually really glad I made that decision, because it gave me a chance to kind of like have an open-ended career exploration moment. My roommate had an opportunity to move to Pittsburgh, and I decided, since I'd never lived outside of the state I grew up in, I would just go with her and figure it out. More challenging than I thought it was going to be, but here I am. I lived and tell the tale. I was given the application for this position through someone who I had met in Pittsburgh when I had moved here, and I kind of was like immediately like, okay, this is the exact environment that I want to be in. All the work I've been doing has been already so rewarding, and then finally got to that place where I can, you know, be immersed in the environmental work going on. When I was coming here for my interview and I like kind of crossed the Beaver County line, I was like suddenly like, oh, you know, this looks a lot like where I grew up. It just felt like somewhat familiar to me. So I think drawing from my own passions and experiences of where I grew up, I'm able to like bring that to a lot of the projects I've already been involved with in Beaver County. Even though these projects are happening in Beaver County, it still feels like I'm able to give back to communities that are similar to where I grew up, and it kind of fills that bucket and pulls on my heartstrings that I'm able to create projects or provide support for things that I remember growing up and couldn't even imagine something like that existing. It feels really cool to be able to like help empower future generations of, you know, kids like me who are growing up in more rural places that often don't have access to those types of things. It allows me to have like a pulse check on all of these different areas of work that I'm interested in. I don't have to be an expert and I don't have to lead the charge with that project, but I get to bring to that project whatever skills and expertise that I have that they need, and get to not only help advance that project, but get to meet the people behind it, get to meet the people who are working on the project, who started the projects or organizations that have the passion and the mission to see it through. And being part of that process has really been something that I think I'm still working on currently in developing where I want to direct my career. And I think right now that's kind of like my North Star, is being able to expose myself and get involved with as many different types of projects and meet as many people as I can. Also, something that's like very important to my identity as a person, as a gay man. I think a really important aspect of why I'm so passionate about building community is because growing up in a rural, majority conservative space as a kid felt very isolating and felt very much, like I didn't have a community. The community building impacts that the work I'm doing has the ability to make people feel more comfortable with being themselves in whatever way that is. I have told Daniel or Scott, I'm just if I would have had access to something like this when I was growing up in Michigan, it would have changed the trajectory of my life, or maybe not changed everything, but it would have really sped up a lot of things that I had to start at ground zero and fight and claw my way up to gain access to things like prestigious education and getting my college degree. And I want to do good. Why was it so hard for me to find an organization in a position where I can bring my skills and experience and do good for the community? Building a stronger community helps people identify others who maybe have similar situations as them, and connect with them and feel less alone and feel less isolated. It took me a little bit to actually internalize that and realize that I have my own community that I'm building or have built, and it's that community, that I don't have to face these challenges, or I don't have to face the world alone either. I think that's something that's very important to why I'm so passionate about the work I'm doing, and inspiring to think about the ways that the work I'm doing can have its indirect benefits for, someone who was like me growing up in Pittsburgh or in Beaver County, and hoping that the work I'm doing can create a space where whoever they are and however they feel, they know that they're in a place that people care about them and people care about the environment around them, and they shouldn't have to feel alone.